my knitty friends. I am Amy and welcome to Hudson Valley Knits. Today is, I think it's not the 29th, it's the 31st, August 31st, and it is Sunday, episode 35. I am upstate right now, in upstate New York at my parents' house, sitting on their back porch. It was raining all morning. Skies are a little gray now, so I'm under a roof just in case it starts to rain, but otherwise it is beautiful out. Let me just flip the camera for a second, and I guess I can't do it. Yeah, I have the East Branch of the Delaware River right in front of me. I love it up here. Anyway, it's the Labor Day weekend, and so I have a nice long weekend up here. I did record a little bit of this podcast back home on Friday the 29th. And I am going to put that at the end of the show. But it's an interview with a friend and a designer named Deborah Tomasello, who lives in the Hudson Valley, very close to me. And I did a little interview, and I show off some of her designs and her books, and we have a little giveaway with that. And that will be, there will be, of course, information in the show notes and a thread, but all the details are in the clip that I'll add to the end of this podcast. So, just so you know, again, my name's Amy. I am Memers on Ravelry, and I am Memers66 on Instagram, on Instagram. So, and Instagram feeds to Twitter too, so you can find me on Twitter at Memers66 as well. All right. So I am going to start with some news, and I'm really going to just come out and say, this is my design. This is my shawl design called the Guardian of Air shawl. And I finished the pattern and got it back from the test knitter, I would say 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I had a call out for test knitters a while back, and it's my fault because I really didn't finish when I had originally planned to. And so a lot of people that had offered to test knit were not able to because so much time had gone by. They had other things going on and just couldn't commit. So I am putting it out there as of right now that I need at least 2 more test knitters. I would like to get more. The pattern has both charted and written directions. So I have 2 people reading the charted directions right now. So I especially am hoping to find someone that would be willing to knit it using the written directions so that I can get some feedback, and maybe you might catch some mistakes that the tech editor or myself have missed. But it's a beautiful shawl pattern. It's very wide, and it's got like a sloped bottom, and it integrates some lace knitting and some cable knitting. This is knit with Lost City Knits Twin Canyon fingering, which is a beautiful silk and merino blend wool yarn that is just to die for. And it comes in a good put up. It's like 600 yards per skein. I highly recommend this for this pattern. It has the flowy drapiness that you need, and it is so soft and lovely, this yarn. And the price cannot be beat. I could be wrong, don't quote me, but I think it was like $24 for a skein of 600 yards. Or it was 500 yards. 500 yards. It's beautiful. So, please, if you are interested in test knitting this pattern, please, there is a thread with all the information in my Ravelry group, Hudson Valley Knits. And all the yarn requirements and whatnot are listed there as well. So that's one announcement. I also wanted to touch on the senior love along. Time is getting closer to the holidays, so I am thinking after sometime after Thanksgiving, I'll tell you guys to start sending in your washcloths and I'll start making plans about giving these out to some wonderful, deserving seniors. If you haven't heard of the Senior Love Along, I am myself, and I am asking other people to knit 100% cotton washcloths to give away to seniors living in nursing homes as a holiday gift, just to cheer them up and brighten up their holidays. I am looking into doing this at a nursing home at the local VA hospital near where I live. In Montrose, New York, there is a VA hospital and a veterans nursing home. And a friend of my father's is in this nursing home, and I've been there to visit him once, and I just felt that this is just a beautiful way to demonstrate to some of these men are very, very lonely, and they just don't deserve to be like that. So that's what the Senior Love Along is all about, and depending on how many washcloths I get, we might be able to do a little more than just one nursing home. We'll see. All right, so again, there is a thread for the Senior Love Along in the Hudson Valley Knits Ravelry group, and you can see in the chat thread pictures of all the wonderful, luscious prizes we have. We have a lot of yarn prizes. I think there are 5 different yarn prizes and lots of pattern giveaways. And who knows, someone, if you would like to donate a prize, I am very welcome to accepting more prize donations. And if you would like to help me out with any shipping costs when it comes time to ship the prizes, or for any of my podcasting expenses, which there are some podcasting expenses, buy a pattern from my Ravelry store. That would help me out tremendously, and you get something for your donation. So that is the end of the introductions, and like I said, I will be interviewing my friend Debbie Tomasello at the end of this podcast. I'll put that recording in. So let's get started on my whips. I brought all my knitting up here. My biggest project right now on the needles, the one getting the most attention, is the Rhinebeck sweater for my husband Mark, which is kind of my own design. I had started this years ago, and I was knitting it from the bottom up in the round. And despite all my measurements, it did not fit. And I don't know what I did wrong. I did swatch, and I think it's because I didn't do a big enough swatch to really know how it would end up size-wise in a garment. So it was a lot smaller than what I intended, and I ended up, it's sitting in my closet, the one I first started. It's about up to my armpits, where my armpits would start. And if I have enough of this yarn left all over, I will finish that sweater for myself. It's questionable if I will or not. But hi, Danny. Oh, you guys have to meet my parents' puppy. This is Danny Razzafini. Aww. Say hi, Danny. Look, Danny, look. What's that? Danny doesn't like to be helped. Go on. She's a little terrier dog. She doesn't like to be helped, but she loves to be petted. Yeah, it's Danny Razzafini. I love this dog. She is an awesome dog. Anyway, if you want to come up, Danny, you're more than welcome. She doesn't like to be cuddled. The only person that really can pick her up and get away with it is my dad. So yeah, back to the Rhinebeck sweater for Mark. So if I have enough yarn left over, I'll finish the first attempt for myself. But this one is for Mark, and this one, I am doing the front and the back. I'm doing it all in pieces, separate pieces, and I will sew the garment together. This will be the back. And I'll tell you the reason I'm doing this. I took the Craftsy class from Carla, and I can't remember Carla's last name, but her class is Design Your Own Cable Sweater. And she recommends doing the cabled sweaters in pieces, because the seaming helps give your sweater structure. and keep it in place and less saggy, for one thing. And for another thing, I was very fortunate to be able to meet Carla in person at our knitting guild. She came up from New York to speak at our knitting guild, and afterwards I told her about my dilemma with the first sweater, and she said what to do was to measure to a certain point under the on his waist for the back and make the back accordingly, which I've done. And then in the front where he has a bit of a belly, measure that and just put more of this reverse stockinette stitch on the side to fill in the inches. And then I'm just going to have a solid panel of the honeycomb stitch and this cable pattern on each side of that. And so it will be rather simple. This pattern here will be going down the sleeves, and as you can see, here is my marker from where I was last time I showed you this on the podcast. But I think it's going to be a bit of a race to get it done for Rhinebeck, but I'm still determined. I'm still determined. All right, so that is knit with, by the way, the Alice Starmore Bainin yarn. And I have to say, it says pure new wool. Each skein is 100 grams and 150 meters. It is, I would imagine it's like a Aran knitting. It's Aran yarn. It's very thick. I would consider it a very almost rather, it's a heavyweight yarn. I'm knitting it in size 9 needles for Mark because I want it to be loose and drapey. Because he is a big guy, I don't want it to be bulky and stiff. However, I have to say that I've been a little disappointed with this yarn. I paid very, very good money, as you can imagine, for yarns. Why not super expensive? Are a little pricey because of, one, the exchange rate, because she sells it in British pound sterling, and also the shipping costs, which are free if you order over a certain amount, which I did get free shipping. I have found in numerous spots on more than one skein of this yarn that the plies have disintegrated, and I was very upset. It's not there. I also found in one skein in particular, but in almost every skein, there have been knots. And yeah, I was disappointed in the quality of this yarn. Now I am knitting with her 2-ply worsted weight yarn, or excuse me, her 3-ply yarn, and I have not seen that problem. I've only seen it with the Bainin, but I've seen it consistently with the Bainin. So not just on one skein or anything like that, but consistently on every skein has a split ply, and then I have to cut it and rejoin it. And I think I spoke about this before, I'm not sure, so forgive me if I have. But I just wanted to put it out there that the Bainin was less than satisfactory in my opinion. So next on the WIP list, I had told you last week I had gotten for a birthday present from Trisha. What's Trisha's? Let me get her Ravelry handle. I have to look it up from last week's notes. But I had gotten a birthday present, and it turns out that this yarn was also recently used by Susan Anderson to knit a pair of socks. So I'm sure she's going to be hit with a lot of orders, but I had already gotten mine, which was really wonderful. And it's by Fish Knits, and it was a gift from Fish Knits from reviewer. Oh, come on, where is it? Where's my note? Trisha23. So Trisha23 bought this for me for my birthday. She ordered it back in July when my birthday was, and I got it in August. And it's the Fish Knits sock yarn in the, I'm going to say it wrong. It's Canadiana colorway. So this is based on the colors in the Hudson Bay blanket that is very indicative of the Hudson Bay up in Canada. And I just thought it was a tremendously thoughtful gift because of the association with the Hudson River and the Hudson Valley is why she bought this for me. And I was able to start this. Now, if you see, I put a little texture in there by adding some zigzags. It's a little 1-1 cable twist. And every time there was a color change, I switched the other direction. Well, there's a problem with this. I really like the way this looks, but it takes away the give. So there's no stretchiness. So when I last night decided to just out of curiosity put it on my foot, I could not get it over my heel because there was no stretchy. Now this is, I'm using my size 1 Chiagu needles. I'm doing a magic loop. These are my size 1 Chiagus. Not my #1 go-to, but very good needles. And I am knitting with 72 stitches. And that for me is a very nice fitting pair of socks usually when I do plain stockinette. But with this, it's made it way too small. So this is all going to be ripped out down to the collar. But I wanted to show it to you before I ripped it. And I'm kind of torn. I could rip it down to the cuff and then do a couple of rows where I evenly increase my stitches and get a larger amount of stitches on the needles and get a size that I could get this over my ankle, my heel. And continue with this zigzag look because I kind of do like the texture and the way it looks. And I'm getting a little tired of doing like just the average stockinette socks. Or I could just leave the stitch count as it is and just go and do the stockinette socks. But I don't know, just something about this is something I like. And so maybe what I'll do is I will try and figure out how many more stitches I need to add to get this to fit right, and maybe I'll do a couple of rows where I increase and then go back to the zigzag motif that I got going on. So this will probably be much either shorter or not much different than you'll see next time because I am going to rip it out. Actually, it'd probably be less because, like I said, I have to do Mark's sweater for the most part. But this was just supposed to be my mindless knitting to keep in my purse, and I just was so anxious to cast on this gorgeous yarn. That is living in, and I guess I'll show it now instead of in Stash Enhancements since it's in this bag. I got this bag from Jan Smiley. It's a little canoe bag. It's perfect for a 1 skein sock project. Probably not big enough for something more than that. It's got a nice flat bottom. And the reason I skepped this up is, well, I've always grown up near the water. And we always had a bunch of canoes, and our cars always had a roof rack because we spent a lot of time canoeing on water. And a lot of our family vacations were canoeing down rivers and camping out along the river. And for me, even though I don't canoe nearly as much as I did when I was young and still at home, I just love this bag for nostalgic reasons. And my father, who is 70, he was born in 36, so that makes him 78 this year. Wow, he still canoes. He still goes out in the canoe, and because he lives right on the water. And dare I turn this around and show you? There's the water. His canoes are chained up down there by the water. It's not, White Rapids, so he's fine. And, yeah, so that's why I loved the canoe bag. And, sorry about the noise, it's the neighbor. He's cleaning out his garage. I think he's power washing. Yeah, he's power washing. Sorry. Next on the whip list. Oh, yes. A coworker of mine's expecting their first baby in November, so I am knitting a wee Kriya for her. It's going to be a girl. And, oh darn, why is he doing this now? I hope that noise isn't too bad for you guys, and I hope this backfire. Here's the wee Kriya so far. It's a top-down sweater. Here's the sleeve cap. It's a little poofy sleeve cap. Here's the front. It's cardigan. And here's the back thus far. I was able to find some stash yarn that worked. The pattern calls for a fingering weight. It actually calls for Madeline Tosh sock. And let me show you the finished. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. It is, after all, it is all the pattern. There it is finished. They're expecting a girl. And her dad, whom I work with, made a comment about, I guess everything in my life is going to be pink and purple from now on. And I'm like, all right, so I have to find something not pink and purple. And I found in my stash this DK weight yarn from Rowan, which they don't make anymore. It's called Cash Soft 4-ply DK weight yarn. It is 57% merino and 33% acrylic and 10% cashmere. It's very, very soft. I imagine it would be a little pilly. I wonder what the wash instructions. I hope it's washable. Ooh. It is machine wash. Yeah. So, which is a big plus when you're making a baby garment. So I had 4 of these in my stash. And that's what I'm making this with. And I'm making the 0 to 3 month size. But because I'm making it with the DK and 1 size larger needles, I'm sure it will be good enough for probably, I would say 9 to 12 months, judging by the size of this and my vague remembrance of babies that size, because it's been a long time since I had a baby. And yeah, so that's this. Those are my 3 main projects on the needles right now. Anything else I just haven't been working on. Including my my washcloths. I've been very bad and fallen behind in the washcloth making arena. So finished objects. I have 2 finished objects, and you know, I'm sure you've seen them all over Ravelry. But these blue rag socks have been very popular. Sock yarn from Croy, Patent Croy, and I finished my pair. I used the Fish Lips Kiss Heel. And I did them with the size 1, 72 stitches. I love the colors. I love the stitch definition. I love this wool. It's washable. And I'm still up in the air on whether I'll keep these or use them as a Christmas gift. This is where I was on the last sock when I showed you last podcast where I was. That was the one where I was with my 2 friends down by the river. So I did get a lot done, and like I said, I was very anxious to finish them because I wanted to start the Canadiana sock, which it turns out I'm going to have to redo. But it's okay, because I just enjoy the knitting. The other finished object I have, and I think I touched on it briefly last podcast, was very special. I joined a spinning group. It's been about a year since I took up spinning, and after a few months, I joined a spinning group local to me, and a lot of beautiful women there helped me learn how to spin. And one of them was a woman named Patty, who, even though I only got to meet her about 3 or 4 times, if that. She taught me so much, especially about chain flying. And very sadly, she passed away unexpectedly in the spring. And a couple of the ladies in the group who were very close with her worked with her husband to sell all of her equipment and stash to help him with a lot of expenses that he needed help with. And but all her hand spinning he was reluctant to let go of. And what we decided to do was use her hand spun to create a blanket for her husband and her 2 children, as well as some baby garments for her newly born grandson. It turns out she had her first grandchild was born just weeks before she passed away. And she had just gotten back from a trip to North Carolina to meet her grandson. So it's bittersweet that I show you the square for Patty. I've only done 1 square. A lot of the other girls have done a lot more than that. But this is made with her homespun yarn. And I got it perfect gauge. It had to be 14 inches across. And I made it perfect. The border, however, is done with Cascade 220, which we decided to do so that, because we had such a huge array of different kinds of hand spun, we wanted at least the borders to be consistent. And Patty spun quite frequently with natural colored fiber. So most of the squares in this garment will be similar to these colors. And this way the Cascade 220 ties it all together. So this will be going to one of the ladies that's organizing this in the group. And I believe this is going to one of the children that is actually getting married in September. I think they're getting married in September. It's going to be a wedding gift. So the gift will be an Afghan of her mother's hand spun yarns. And I did have a little left over of her hand spun. You can see, and I'll give it back just in case they need it for another square, which they might be able to do 1/4 of a square with this, if that, but not much more. But I kept thinking as I knit it, I'm like, looking at the fiber, and I'm thinking, Patty's hands touched every single bit of this fiber. Her hands touched and created this, and I just thought of that as I was knitting, and I tried to knit with all the love I could feel in my heart. And I thought of how much I love my children as I knit it, and this might sound corny, but I hope our children feel the love when they snuggle up in these blankets. So that's that. Those are my finished objects, and so let me just take you right to spinning. I do have a little bit of spinning to show. Last week, I believe I showed you some fiber I got from Blue Barn Fiber. And they were Rolags, and they were made of merino wool, merino wool and alpaca. And I love the color so much that I started spinning them right away on my Lendrum wheel. And I have been having the worst spinning experience of my life. And I'm not sure, maybe if I feel so inclined, I'll take a little video of me spinning with these. I'm going to move this just a little bit so that you're not getting me backlit. This is what I've spun so far. It's roughly half of it. And it's very thick because I could not, for the life of me, get this to draft nicely. It was clumpy, tangled. In some places, I would even say it was slightly felted. It was awful. It was really awful to have to spin. And I don't know what to say about it. It was just horrible. And I have a limited spinning experience, and I don't really know what to say, if this is normal or to be expected, and or what the case is. But all I know is let me backtrack. I've only knit Rolags from Naturally Knitty, Spun Right Round, and now these Blue Barn Fiber. Rolags. And the other two, I had no problems with at all. This was a hot mess. There were some fibers that were just directionally going straight up down in the Rolag, and were like going in all different directions, and they were getting in knots as I'm trying to spin it. It was just really bad. And I don't know if I'm expecting more than I should, but what I do have to compare it to, I would say that this is something I will never purchase from them again. While I love their dye jobs, I love their colors, the Rolags were not well done. It was like they weren't really combed out. They were dyed and then just put on there in clumps randomly and then rolled up, and it wasn't really done well. My naturally knitty Rolags are coming along. I know this looks like the same thing you're seeing every week. Last week I had 8 Rolags left. Now I have the one on there, and 1, 2, 3, 4 left. So it's coming along. I have 4 of these babies left. I love these. These are an absolute divine pleasure to spin with. I love the colors. It's merino. Should I write down what it is? But I think it's merino and a little bit of silk, but don't quote me on that, I forget. These will be done soon. I already finished the first 2 ounces, and that's a sock. And these 2 ounces will be chain plied and made into the second sock. So, and this is my Bosworth midi spindle. It's about 1 ounce. Spinning up beautifully, an absolute pleasure. And then finally, and I'm going to combine this with stash enhancement, because it's the only thing I bought since I spoke with you last, was some Poonies from Spun Right Round. And, oh, excuse me, On the Round, Spun Right Round. Oh, I apologize. I was saying Spun Right Round before, but On the Round. For the first time, I purchased Poonies from On the Round, on Artisan Yarn and Fiber. These are made of Angora and merino. Here are they're hand-carded Poonies, grayscale, merino wool, and Angora. And her website is ontheround.etsy.com. These, I bought 3 ounces, all 3 ounces that she was offering. And I put them right on the spindle. And I love it. Love, love, love. They spin like a dream. I'm having so much pleasure spinning these on this spindle. This is my green something spindle. I'll put it in the show notes, but I love this. This is like my favorite spindle. I think I love this more than the Bosworth. And this fiber is just beautiful. I am so loving it. And it's a little more expensive than naturally knitty, but you know, it's got Angora in it, and it was a beautiful special treat, and I love it. I am thrilled with it, and I would definitely buy from her again. I love the natural colors, and I've never spun with Angora before, so this has been a new experience, and I think I'm going to enjoy immensely. I am thinking that when this gets spun up, I will do it in 3-ply, not chain ply, but regular 3-ply, and either a hat or a pair of mittens. What do you think? Or do you think I could do both with 3 ounces? I don't know if it would be enough. I could do fingerless mitts and maybe an ear band for my head to keep my head warm. I would love that. But it's soft and fluffy, and it won't be hard wearing. It will be a little pilly. That's why maybe a hat would be better, because hands will be on the steering wheel and whatnot, and they'll get pilly. But I can't tell you how much I love this. On the Round, Artisan Yarn and Fiber. If you've never treated yourself to some of her fiber, I would say go for it. It's a treasure. it's definitely a go ahead and do for me. Oh, I love it. So that is it. Oh, she also gave me a little 10% coupon. So she throws in a business card, which I'll show you. And on the back is a code for 10% off my next order, which I might use. I'm kind of holding off to see what she puts up there. I saw some beautiful stuff, but I'm just waiting. I don't need any more right now, so I'm just waiting to see what else gets put up there and see if something just blows me out of the water like this natural color did, where I jumped on it and bought it all up as soon as she posted. I saw it on Instagram that she was putting it up in her shop. Yeah, and so that kind of takes care of my spinning works in progress and my stash enhancement. So that is it for now. Oh, you know what I meant to show you? That canoe bag by Jan Smiley. I never showed you the business card, did I? So this bag has a beautiful inside. There's her little label, Jan Smiley on Etsy. Let me show you her business card. So Jan is actually quite the artist. Here's her other artwork. Isn't that beautiful? Artist and author, fiber and mixed media. Amazing stuff. McCall Center for Visual Arts, open houses. Awesome. She's going to Italy. Join me in Italy from June. Oh, that's 2008. That's old. But here's her business card. She has ordered more of the canoe bag material, and she's going to make me a large bag. I told her I want one about twice the size as the one that is like a sock yarn bag for large shawl projects. So she said she will do that. All right. So that is it. So coming up now, you should see my interview with Deborah Tomasello and the giveaway of her pattern for her Infinitam. Hi everybody, I'm here with my friend Deborah Tomasello. Hi. And she is a designer on Ravelry. Deb and I have known each other for about 3 or 4 years now, and we met through Ravelry, and I realized that we lived close together, so I got in touch with her, and she has since begun designing. So I wanted to ask Deb to be on the podcast so she could talk about how she got into designing and share with you some of her own personal designs. So, I mean, why don't you start by telling us how you started knitting?
I started knitting when I was 5 years old, wow. So that was like 20 years ago now. a little longer than that, about 53 years ago. My grandmother, a typical story, my grandmother taught me to knit, and we used to knit just garter stitch on DPNs with crochet cotton leopard bandages for leopard colonies, and that's all I knit.
Oh wow, for leopard colonies?
Yep, that's how old I am.
Get out!
And then through the years, I started crocheting and stuff, got away from knitting. And then after I graduated college, and I was late going to college, I graduated in 2005, I took a knitting class and got back into knitting.
Wow.
But I was at a local knitting group here at the Black Cow at its former location, and it's the Croton Gavin Knit. Back then it was called Handmade on Hudson. And a woman came in with a trunk show, and she showed this Alice Starmore sweater she had knit. And I said, you made that? And she said, yeah. I said, how did you make that? She goes, well, it's Fair Isle. I said, what's Fair Isle? I had never heard the word. And she said, well, we use more than one color. And I was blown away. And a lot of you have already heard this story, but it was something I knew I had to do. It was a life-changing moment. And I think that when you and I met, I realized I went to a coffee shop in Peekskill where Amy knits and saw that she was doing Stranded too. And
we were showing each other our projects. And I tell you, she might be a little humble because she knit an Alice Starmore sweater and it blew me away.
right out of the gate, it just is what I was born to do. I just have not looked back. And the thing is with knitting, the class I took was lace, a lot of yarn overs and pearls, and I can't do lace for anything. But color work is where I belong, and I haven't turned back. I knit 12 to 15 hours a day.
Yeah, I know, that astounds me too.
Yeah.
And when I first met Deb, she was just knitting Fair Isle hats and selling them at like flea markets and whatnot and craft fairs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you gotta start selling patterns. Forget about the hats, because she was creating all these unique designs, and they were crazy beautiful. So she did, and can I just show this
Sure.
like right off the bat?
This one is it's featured in my book, which we'll show you a picture of, and it won an honorable mention in the Fiber Factor contest, and it's called Kaleidoscope of Color, and it was supposed to be Knit Your Life, and my life is all about color. So this took only 4 days to knit because it's made on very big needles, and it looks very complex for those of you who don't do color work. It's only 2 colors at a time, so it looks really complex, but you're only doing 2 colors at once.
This is what I mean. Like, this is the kind of stuff.
And the back should look as nice
Beautiful.
as the front.
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty of Fair Isle.
And because it's worked on very big needles, it worked up 4 days.
Yeah.
And it's all stockinette. You don't have to purl, you don't have to yarn over, just knit. Just knit.
All right. Well, I know that you have a lot of patterns out there so far, and I wanted you to have a chance to talk about some of your books.
Okay.
So Deb went ahead and published her own books, self-published her own books, which I believe are available as ebooks as well. Is that true?
They are, and they're
Okay.
available on Amazon and on Create Space and on Ravelry as ebooks.
Good. Well, so let's see what you
The
have.
first one I did, well, I've done several ebooks. Stranded Knitting, It's Easier Than You Think, YouTube videos and ebooks on Ravelry
Okay.
and Amazon. Then I decided to do a real book, and I did Wrapped in Color. I don't know if you can see it.
There's the
Stranded
book.
Knitting in the 21st Century, because a lot of people think of stranded knitting in Fair Isle and they think of their grandmother's sweaters, you know.
Yeah.
But this is all updated. This pattern, the Kaleidoscope of Color, is in there. The diamonds, blue diamonds, I think I called this design.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
updated things that a new generation of knitters can appreciate.
Do you have any favorite kinds of yarns that you use for stranded knitting?
I do. Any hard twist, solids. If you use a variegated or a tonal, sometimes it competes with the design, so I like solids and a hard twist with very low halo, so that it doesn't blur the design.
Wow, there's a lot of gorgeous patterns in here. Look at this snowflake one. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. Oh my gosh. And you have a lot of instructions, like on how to steek.
Yes, it's steeking,
Oh, here it is.
and how to read a color work chart,
Oh,
which I also have YouTube videos, and those are linked in
oh
the
yeah,
book.
I see the YouTube videos are in the book.
So, because really the only thing you need to know when doing stranded, people will tell you, maybe some of you have tried and you got frustrated, they'll say you have to hold one yarn in the right hand. Do you hold one in each hand?
I hold it in each hand.
I don't, and that was
Yeah.
discouraging to me in the beginning because I was told you have to do that, but you don't. You hold the yarn any way you want that works for you. I use my feet, as some of you know.
I think
And
there's a picture in here.
there is a picture, yep.
I do it too. I confess.
You use your feet?
I use each
Toe?
each toe.
Yeah, I both toes on my right foot. The thing is, use whatever works. The Portuguese use the pin around
Yeah.
the neck. They use the neck. You do whatever works for you. And then you need to float evenly. And floating is when you carry the yarns across the back that you're not using, and you just don't want to pull them too snugly. So I say, remember Leo when floating. Float loosely, evenly, and often.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Again, YouTube videos for that.
Okay.
And then I did a second book this summer that just came out.
Ooh.
Knitting, because the first book is mostly shawls and wraps. This book, Knitting 20th Century Art, are pieces that I designed inspired by fairly famous 20th century art work. If you look at the first one, the Campbell soup cans, most of you know Woody. I always say
Woody.
Andy Warhol. I
Andy
always go for
Warhol,
Woody
yeah.
Allen when I say Woody. You'll see the picture if you. And this book also, there it is.
Oh, how
It's called
cute.
Pop Top.
Oh my goodness, that's so cute.
different art periods are represented. But a big thing that came out in this book that hasn't really been discussed before is owning your imperfections. It's okay to make mistakes. Show the spider web. A lot of people tink and frog, and I don't like to waste time tinking and frogging. So this is the illustration that I use. I don't know if you can see it. When we look at a beautiful spider web, we are in awe at the beauty.
Yeah.
But we think about the spider getting to the edge of it and looking back and saying, oh, I made a mistake at the very beginning.
Yeah, they don't do
I
that.
have to nips it, which is spin backwards, the way we say tink for knit backwards. The spider say nips. She doesn't. It's beautiful just the way it is. And so it is with our stuff.
Wow.
That's cubism.
Look at this. I love this bag. It's very cute. Oh, wow. Is that belted?
Yes, I felted the bag and then did needle point on top.
It's gorgeous. Oh, my
And
God.
then now the next one, this one I love. This is
Psychedelic.
Groovy, the socks on the psychedelic movement.
Oh, wow.
And that's Moonbeam Modeling because she won't allow me to use her real name.
Moonbeam.
Yeah,
All right. I love it.
that was a flop. There is a flop pattern.
A flop.
Yeah. I mean, it just was less than I expected.
Okay.
Jackson Pollock. It's supposed to be Jackson Pollock, which if you know Jackson Pollock, it's like this anyway. So the pattern's a little bit like this too.
Should I show it?
Sure. The knit is good. The pattern is sturdy, but the design is nothing to write home about.
All right. I might have to speak up a little because of the music.
Okay. I can speak up.
Ooh.
All right. And then, because I don't have anything else to do, I decided to do a calendar.
Oh, yeah. This is Buried in Stash. It's a 2015 calendar.
You can order them now by emailing me, which I assume you will give my email address.
I will put the email address in the show notes and in the thread in Ravelry. But if you'd like to tell about it, these are some of the people in the Gab and Knit group.
Actually, no. These
No?
are in my Colorworks by Debbie Ravelry group.
Sorry, Colorworks by Debbie, but some are in your
A couple
Gab.
of them happen to be in the
Yeah.
local knitting group too.
And these are real people with their real stash.
And she made that heart out of
I
paper
know.
mache.
It must be February, isn't it?
That is February. And a lot of international knitting events are included over the year, and 3 of my patterns are included.
Oh yes, 3 patterns. Oh, I love it. There's another good one in here.
Show Carrie, August.
August. Oh, there's Deb.
That's me.
Oh yes, here's sexy. And that's my birthday month, July. So
Mine too. When's your birthday?
15th.
Oh, I'm the 12th.
Oh, cool. That's my brother's birthday.
Really?
Yeah.
This one I love.
Oh my gosh, look at this.
Now this is someone in our local group, Carrie, and she owns Ingy Kismet Fibers, and she dyes yarn.
Wow.
But and by the way, if you go in my Ravelry group, Colorworks by Debbie, there is a thread on how you can submit a photo for the 2016 calendar.
What's the 2016 calendar theme?
It will be people like you who have podcasts, who are designers, who any knitting related business at all. If you, or not, even if you just want to knit. But I'm going to allow people to plug their business.
I'll have
Their
to
knitting
talk
related.
about that when I talk about my new knit along.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then you can model, and I've got all of the parameters written out for the 2016, but it's not too early to submit photos for that. These calendars in hard copy are still available. I have a few left, so if you want one, be sure to email me. They are $12 a piece. If you buy more than one, they're $10 a piece plus shipping.
Nice.
Great gifts for people you know who are
Here's
knitting.
one of the patterns included.
I have a cowl, a dog sweater, and a pair of mitts.
Oh,
If you look back one page, you'll see
here's
me.
the fingerless mitts pattern.
Yep. And there's a picture of me in November because, yeah, that's me holding the, doing the, I don't know if they'll see it, it's awfully small. Yeah.
Nice, very nice.
And wait, I don't have a dog sweater. I'm sorry, the dog sweater is not in because that picture didn't turn out. It's a arm warmers.
Okay.
Arm warmers.
Nice. So that's $12 each, or 5 or more, and it's 10.
Two or more.
2 or more, and it's only $10. That's
Plus
great.
shipping.
Okay. And you also have a new pattern now.
Well, this isn't out yet. It's coming out on the 1st, which is Monday. But I also got the idea to do a campaign of socks for jeans. So once a month, till our drawers are full of socks for jeans, a pattern that will look like they go well with jeans. And I'm teaming up with Debbie from Knitbin. Knitbin.com, and she's selling
Lovely
the
colors.
kits and I'm selling the patterns.
Oh, so there's kits for these. How much are the kits?
This kit is 2 skeins of Regia yarn and the pattern and free shipping, limited time only, $17.95.
Oh my gosh.
I know, right? But do it fast. She has sold out twice already.
Oh my gosh. So you'll have to email me a link for that.
Knitbins, okay.
All
Remind
right.
me,
Okay.
because I have a middle-aged frame.
Well, I'm going to be putting this up probably Monday or Tuesday,
Okay.
so you have a little time.
Okay. Well, then by the time this is up, this pattern will be available.
Okay, good.
In my Ravelry store, Colorworks
Awesome.
by Debbie.
They're beautiful. I think I might get a kit.
Yeah,
I love the blues.
and she's going to set it up because she way underestimated the response. So she ran out of yarn twice already for these kits, and she's ordered them. So if you want to do the whole campaign, let her know and she'll put you on a pre-order list.
Okay.
So
Now,
that,
if they don't want to buy the yarn because they have way too much sock yarn in their stash, can they just buy the pattern?
Buy the pattern
Okay,
from me.
great. Awesome. All right, and what are those other socks?
these I haven't published yet. I just did these, again, doodling at the cow because I can't knit when I'm here with my group. I make mistakes.
These are so
But
soft.
I just
too.
finished this. This is silk and cashmere, that's why.
Oh,
But this I've named Tilting at Windmills.
oh my gosh.
And I
Deb,
will-
this is beautiful. What kind of heel is this?
This
Short
is,
row?
no, sweet tomato heel, which is
Sweet
pretty
tomato
much all
heel.
I use. And the reason I like this sweet tomato heel, again, I have a YouTube on how to carry the colors across the front, is because you can do a colorwork design down through the instep without interruption.
What kind of yarn is this?
This is Valley
I have to
Yarns,
know.
which is Webb's.
Oh, Webb's Valley yarn.
They're Charlemont for the white, and the dark is Persimmon Tree Farm.
Persimmon Tree Farm is the brown, and what was the white again?
It's natural Charlemont from
Oh.
Valley Yarns.
Valley,
Which has a
these
silk
are-
and cashmere. I think there's cashmere.
This
But
feels
you can-
beautiful.
I know, isn't it great?
And I can tell you it's loosely knit. So if
And
you're a tight knitter,
Well, I use the size 3 needle. on
Okay,
socks,
that's
so
why.
that there is room to go because stranding pulls your work in some
Yeah.
anyway. But it hasn't been blocked yet, so it'll go bigger. And there's plenty of yarn when you get 2 skeins of any of this yarn to do 2 pairs. I know, right?
could I have the rest of your?
I know. I could make another pair of these, and these are actually fun to knit. I've got to say, I have second sock syndrome really bad, but this socks for jeans, because it's an easy repeat, I knitted a sock in a day and couldn't wait to do the second one. I was actually sad when they were done.
And using the variegated color really helps because you don't have to change colors
Right,
every
right,
few rows.
right.
It changes itself, and
No knots inside, nothing
it's
to tie up.
beautiful, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I love this Valley yarn. Ooh.
Oh, have you used it before?
I
Webb's?
haven't.
Oh my gosh, I love their stuff. And very reasonably priced from Webb's.
Awesome.
Now, the Persimmon Tree Farm, I would not have chosen for this sock, but I had it and I liked the colors with it. But you could get 2 Charlements, would be twice as squishy. You know what I mean?
Uh-oh. And what are those?
These are, again, the pattern is
Sparkly,
Nubbit.
too.
It's Red Barn Yarns asked me to do patterns for them. So I've got mother-daughter socks. And the pattern will have a child, a woman, and a man's medium. And out
wow.
of 3 skeins of yarn, you ought to be able to get 3 pairs.
Look at the sparkly. I love it.
I'm having trouble finding a 3 or 4-year-old who will try the sock on for me.
She's trying to find a model. She already warned me, like,
If somebody comes in that's the right size, I'm out of here.
She goes, "Can you edit it out if I have to run and get someone to model?"
Yeah, she's too old.
Yeah.
I found a little girl this morning, but she was too shy to try it on.
Aww,
So that's the only thing holding this one up from being published.
that's beautiful.
That's all I brought.
Deb, that's awesome. So, Deb has offered to give away a pattern, and it's actually more of a book than a pattern, and I have it in my stash, in my library. It's called the Infinitam. And let me show you the cover because the cover alone is gorgeous.
In case you can't tell what it is, those are the projects that people did. I did the Infinitam as a knit-along in my Colorworks by Debbie Ravelry group, and we do knit-alongs every month. And
What it is, it's like a I don't want to say a recipe, but it's a combination of different variable motifs that you can combine in like a gazillion different ways to make all different kinds of tams.
Literally, you throw in color options and the choices are infinite. And there's a YouTube video.
Yeah.
Look up Infinitam on YouTube. You'll get the video that shows some of the different hats that the knitters did.
So really, she has all the charts in here. She has all the instructions. She has YouTube videos, and there's a number of projects on Ravelry. She has an explanation for reading the charts. Can I show you the table of contents?
Sure.
I'll just show you the table. Here's all the table of contents. This was only $5 or something. $8.
Because there's 32-page pattern.
Yeah, I mean, it's well worth it. You can make any tam you want with this.
You
recipe.
will never need another pattern for a tam, or you can actually do a hat with it too if you want to do it.
It's really quite beautiful. And so she's offered to give away to one of you a copy of this pattern. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a thread in my Ravelry group. And what I want you to do is I want you to go to Deb's on Ravelry store and tell me what pattern you think you'd like to knit from all of Deb's patterns. There's lots to choose from, and I want to see what you'd like. And the winner will be picked. Let's say what, like
That's up to you.
2 weeks from now, maybe by the next podcast. I'll choose a winner. But I will definitely be making a tam, especially with Christmas coming. It'll be a great gift.
I've made 2 and I have lost 2. I hunted all over to bring it with me. One of them to bring with me to show you, and I can't find it.
Yeah, I am so glad that you joined me here because I really feel like you are so underrated.
No, really?
I absolutely do. I see all your patterns up on Ravelry, and I see all the heart and soul you put into putting them together.
I just have a blast. It's not even work to me.
I see it now. I knit with Deb once in a while at her group here in Croton, and I see the love of knitting, and she just wants to spread that joy. And so I really think that you will feel that if you knit one of her patterns. So I really wanted to get this out there and show you how absolutely beautiful they are. So great.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank
it's
you.
Nice seeing all of you. I hope you look for me in my Ravelry group if you're not already there. And please,
what's the name of the Ravelry group again?
Colorworks by Debbie.
All right, and I'll put a link.
And I don't know.